All right, so we're on the air, and welcome to Connected and Co, the entertainment episode. This is episode beta 001. So if it sucks, I apologize. And if it probably won't, though, but that's besides the point. We have joining me today Jameel Robinson. Can you give me a shout out,
Yo,
Jameel?
what
And we
up?
got Kevin Kelly.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody. All right.
He said duty.
He did. Okay.
Oh, good.
Jamil, you want to put up the notes in the chat for us there again?
Yes, I can by Sammy Davis Jr.
All right. For those who didn't know, it's taken us forever to figure out the new Google Hangouts on-air setup, but, you know, what's 30 minutes and a lifetime of pain to bring you quality programming. All right. So up today is Marvel Comics, or Marvel rather, Phase 3, Potpourri.
Marvel Studios, actually. Marvel
sorry,
Studios.
sorry. As I was corrected, Marvel Studios. I apologize to all the fanboys out there.
We'll send us hate mail later on. Yeah.
Yes. Well, they'll probably send me the hate mail, and again,
Yeah.
at Cuddy Sark, just over here somewhere. There you go. Okay.
God, you fanboys.
So getting started, Jamil, why don't you, I guess, kind of give our audience a rundown of what Marvel Phase 3 is? Because it kind of sounds very
Interesting.
secretive. Yeah, you know, like a global domination plan or something like that. You know, it's a
Well, it
time to
actually
take
is.
over the world.
Marvel started its global domination plans way back when they started Phase 1 with Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the First Avenger, and the Avengers. So before we really knew what they were doing, they were actually creating like a universe. And then we had Phase 2, which included Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and also Guardians of the Galaxy, and the soon upcoming Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh,
And
I
then,
can't wait for that.
oh yeah,
Uh,
we have Phase 2.
oh, yeah.
So Phase 2 is their story arc, continuing what they started off with their Phase 1 plans. And just recently, on October 28th, they announced their Phase 3 plans, which consisted of a whole bunch of movies, some sequels, surprising new entries to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including you have Captain America Civil War kicking it off, then you have Doctor Strange, then you have Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Thor Ragnarok, sorry, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War Part 1, Captain Marvel, and then closing out with Avengers Infinity War Part 2 in 2019.
Man, that's a lot of planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of would want to start this off with what I'm really excited about is the fact that they're taking Marvel Civil War and bringing that to the screen as one of the topics in this whole Phase 3, which I'm pretty excited about as far as storyline goes.
Mhm.
Well, it's interestingly enough that they decided to put it as a movie in itself, or rather, part of a movie, I guess, is the best way to say it, because we know that Captain America, the next, the kickoff entry for Phase 3 is called Captain America Civil War. But Civil War itself could have been a whole story arc all to itself. But they're going to put it into a movie, a singular movie, where we have Captain America and Iron Man kind of face off against each other on opposite sides of a debate about superhero registration.
Yes,
Of
yes.
course.
Um,
From the sounds of it, it might be putting Robert Downey Jr. back into almost similar to what he used to pull off in U.S. Marshals. But, hey, I'm still excited either way. I mean, if they go that route, where you know who has to face you know who.
I'm quite happy that already how many minutes into this program we have a U.S. Marshals reference. So everything should have a U.S. Marshal reference.
Uh,
Sneaky Robert Downey Jr. just lurking in
Yep.
the shadows.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, it was a classic movie, man.
It was. I forgot like how scummy he was in that movie.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Especially the part where he breaks people's glasses to like.
That's what you take away from that movie.
I
Just him
know
breaking
it
people's
is.
glasses.
That was the wickedest part. You know, he broke some glasses and then.
Yes. Yes, that was the
Yeah,
awesomest part, Kevin. Yes.
Well, funny enough, that movie also starred um, Wesley Snipes, recently released from prison. Wesley Snipes.
Yes. For tax evasion.
Yeah.
Now he's tax free.
So funny enough, I think that if they did remake the picture, he would be the prime candidate to reprise his role, and using his experience in prison, he might add further depth to the role.
Yes. Oh, that would be so exciting.
Oh, man.
Wesley Snipes from the white collar prison of tax evasion. You know,
And I wonder. I'll put it out to our listeners. Does anyone know of a person reprising the same role they played years later in a remake? So not Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again, playing James Bond after like a decade or so. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm talking about if they remade Never Say Never Again and Sean Connery decided to one more time play James Bond, even though he is substantially older. That's what I'm looking for. So if anyone knows that, please send me a tweet at the Puppy Taco, please. So back to phase 3.
Yes, back to phase 3. So, for me, I think Civil War is probably one of the more interesting story arcs that's going to be happening. Pretty dope. So much so that I've actually gone back and started rereading Civil War because I loved it. In the 2006-2007 Marvel Universe, it was just probably one of my all-time favorites. It was just this huge departure from what they had been doing, and then it just seemed like everything was kind of like leading up to that, like with the House of M, and then they had like Marvel Comics, Civil War, and Professor Xavier's disappeared, and everything's crazy.
Yeah, and obviously it seems like they're going to go in a different route with the exclusion of Spider-Man because they don't have the rights. I'm kind of glad about that we've seemingly got confirmation that Spider-Man won't be a role in this Phase 3 production. So I was looking over the list of movies that are coming forth, and you're kind of left at a position where Ant-Man is the movie prior to Captain America's Civil War, as the only gap, the only, I guess, bridging movie between Phase 2 and Phase 3. And I don't necessarily see Ant-Man as something that would invoke superhero registration. Now, they could have a scene where so just to let people know, just to kind of bring context into what I'm just about to say, is the way Civil War started off in Marvel Comics is there was a upstart group called the New Warriors who were chasing down a villain in a suburban, I think it was Ohio or Virginia, one of the two, and they were in the backyard of some victims. And they were fighting this villain, and the villain basically blew themselves up, causing massive destruction and a call for superheroes to be reined in. Now, there was the fact that there was such a large body count, as well as the fact that the New Warriors were a very inexperienced group to begin with, that caused for people to call out for superhero registration. So you have Iron Man on one side of the debate, and you have Captain America on the other one. So as Ant-Man is the movie, bridging the Age of Ultron Phase 2 storyline and bringing forth the Captain America: Civil War. Do you believe, Raj, that the kickoff will be in Ant-Man, be at the tail end of Ant-Man, or be at the beginning of Civil War, Captain America: Civil War?
I honestly think it'll be at the beginning of Captain America: Civil War, and I think that what you might see at the end of Ant-Man is possibly so just preceding the events that happened in, I think it was like New Haven somewhere, or whatever, where I think the character that the new Warriors weren't expecting but was there was Nitro, and then Nitro, his power is to explode, and they weren't expecting him to be there, and he explodes, and he causes all this chaos, and children die, and all this stuff. Like, this town is practically wiped off the face of the map. But I think that preceding that, there's a meeting of like the great superhero powers. So you have like Reed Richards, Captain America, Iron Man, the Black Panther, Charles Xavier, Doctor Strange.
Wolverine was there too, I think.
No, Wolverine wasn't there. It's
No, it was just
Submariner.
the Illuminati.
Yeah, the Illuminati, right? So
That part.
Submariner. And then you have like the Submariner, right? So I think they may have like scenes of that at the end of like Ant-Man or whatever, and then that'll lead to the Captain America movie, kind of like with seeing Thanos at the end of Avengers 1. You know what I mean? And everybody who's a comic book fan will know, the whole storyline of Thanos and the five rings of, is it five rings of reality or five rings of power or whatever?
The infinite gems, you should just
Yeah,
say.
the infinite gems. I was a kid when I read a lot of those comics, so
I forgive you for
apologize.
your youthfulness.
Yeah, the great seven great, Marvel superheroes, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of familiar to it.
Something like that. Anyways, but that being said, I'm curious to see what happens, but I personally think that you're just going to see, like, they'll have like a cutscene in the beginning of the movie where you'll see these kids playing in a school pan to this house, and it'll be like kind of reality television film like scene, and you'll see these superheroes getting ready to pounce on this house of bad guys, basically, that are just hanging out. They're not even like doing anything criminal at the moment, but they all have warrants out for their arrest, and that will, you'll see it happen from there, and then it'll follow through. My the thing that I'll find interesting is who they're going to replace Spider-Man with, because Spider-Man in the Civil War series was the guy that it was like you had Captain America on one side, you had Iron Man on the other, and then they're both tugging at Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man was kind of the poster child of, do I register or don't I register, and what's at stake, and is it is this right, this moral dilemma.
From news reports, Kevin Feige, who is the head of Marvel Studios, he said that they're going to approach Civil War from just a superhero registration point of view, and that secret identities won't be the focus, or won't be a focus in this movie, which kind of makes sense, because secret identities haven't really played a part whatsoever, haven't been brought up that much. Kind of, Steve Rogers is this historical figure and kind of just walks around. It seems public knowledge that he is Captain America. Iron Man, Tony Stark has already revealed publicly that he is who he is. Bruce Banner, once more, is he isn't well known as being the Hulk, but that isn't particularly. It hasn't been something that's been focused on that much. He's been mostly on the run from the army and the government, as opposed to like individuals trying to, hey, you're the Hulk, we need to get you. Well, and then the rest of the Avengers are all soldiers, so it's not really that important of a thing for me to
It's
focus on.
interesting me to see where that'll go. I guess I suppose because when I think of the comic book, when Spider-Man's that pivotal role, that's an important point to Spider-Man, right? His real life and his secret life, right? So like Peter Parker versus Spider-Man, and so maybe because they're not having that element in because they can't have it, then maybe you're right. Maybe they won't play. Maybe they won't play that up in the movies.
I could be
Um,
totally wrong because we are getting new members to the Avengers family with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and in addition, Ant-Man having his movie coming up. It could be in Age of Ultron and in Ant-Man, secret identities are kind of focused in with these new sets of people who are coming into the fold with the old guard who seemingly don't have that as an issue. So with two movies to go before Civil War, that could come ahead and become a point of entry, a point of focus for Civil War.
this I find this interesting because just last night even I was looking on Netflix and I found they have a whole new cartoon series, Avengers Assemble, right? And just seeing where Marvel's going with the cartoon Marvel universe, it seems to be in the same direction. Whether that's just a reflection of what the movies are, or if the movies are a reflection of where the cartoons have gone, um, that's yet to be seen for me. But I'm still curious to see what happens because, um, again, like I said before, Civil War has been uh, probably one of my favorite storylines in the in the Marvel universe. You know, uh, second only to like X-Men and Wolverine, I guess.
But that's a weird thing though, like because with everybody's heroes, they didn't really jump into that, which was pretty surprising. Like when you
But
really got into that.
the thing is, like, when you look at the cartoon movies that are out now,
Mhm.
like even if they're like direct to DVD, for example, they have Planet Hulk. So in in Civil War, one of the first things just leading up to the actual Civil War, they send Hulk away, right?
Yeah.
And in the cartoons, they address what happens to Hulk, which I don't actually remember reading that in the comics. Like I don't remember them actually doing that in the comic books. They might have. I just might have missed that that series. But they call it Planet Hulk, and they have a whole movie on Netflix for that if you're on the Canadian subscriber. Um,
Oh yeah.
and you can watch that and you kind of see, oh, this is what happens to Hulk. He's not just floating around in space, not hurting anybody
Yeah.
or not doing anything, and it's interesting to me to see that they're all of a sudden I'm seeing all these cartoons and whatever that are tying off loose ends or continuing stories that all have to do with Civil War without actually touching on Civil War just yet.
Well, I figure that the ramifications of Civil War are kind of going to be looked at with the upcoming Netflix series are that Marvel will be producing. So you have a couple of them. You have first starting off with Daredevil. Then you
Hmm.
have Jessica Jones, who's also known as Alias. Her story, she's like a private eye, superhero private eye. Then you have Iron Fist, and then you're left with the Defenders, which is kind of like all of them belong to that group. It's like a low-level superhero groups. Just think of a street-level Avengers, more or less.
Yeah.
Right.
So they can explore the outcome or the issues of Civil War there as Marvel continues on to ramp up to the Infinity War. Sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
Uh, Suffice to say, I'm really excited about where we're going with the Marvel story. So I mean, the Marvel universe, and I think I'm really looking forward to these movies. And yeah, I mean, the only thing that's going to be just as awesome as this is to see where Disney takes Star Wars. To me, anyways.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting, especially how they're able to use those sorts of characters in these movies. Not, like saying, oh yeah, we don't have X-Men or we don't have the other guys, but they're still able to pull off these storylines.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, no Fantastic Four, no X-Men, no Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Um, They're going around and getting around a lot of these issues. So they're going into
Exactly.
space and they're not really having to deal with the fact that they don't have access to like the Galactus, uh, cosmic storyline, parts of the. They don't have access to the Skrulls, but of course they made use of the Kree perfectly fine. They don't have
He
mutants.
was amazing.
They can work around it with, hey, is it that hard for Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver to be Inhumans? Because Inhumans is having its own movie. I think I might
Yeah.
have missed that in my rundown of Phase 3.
No,
But
it's true. Inhumans is going to be its own movie. And that's actually, I forgot. That's one of the other guys who are in the Illuminati, in the Marvel universe
um,
Illuminati, not the real world Illuminati for those watching, because I don't really know about that at all. Please don't kill me.
Marvel's
But yeah,
showing up to your house.
but yeah, it's the
yeah, Black
Illuminati's in the
Bolt.
building, people.
Yeah. Black Bolt is who you're referring to.
Yes, Black Bolt. Thank you. So I would be curious. That is a line of comics I never really got into. I actually don't know too much about the Inhumans.
Well, it's interesting enough that they have access to the Inhumans, even though they're traditionally known as being a Fantastic Four staple. So I guess with the Marvel's made deals with some of the companies, Fox and Sony, to trade characters more or less. So Fox had issues releasing their Fantastic Four movie. So Marvel allowed them to have an extension on the rights of the Fantastic Four movie if they got access to some characters. So they got Daredevil back from Fox. So maybe they also got the access to the Inhumans, with Fox not
Mhm.
really understanding the implication of what the Inhumans mean. So for those who are not collecting the Marvel comics currently, there's been a strong push from Marvel, even though it hasn't been publicly made, that no more new mutants are being created. The reason for that is Marvel doesn't technically own the cinematic uh, universe for mutants. That's owned by Fox, with the X-Men series. So what they are doing now is a lot of new characters are not being listed as mutants, but actually Inhumans. So by making the deal with Fox, who probably didn't realize it, they have, in a roundabout way, gained access to an explanation of mutation in their cinematic universe.
Interesting. And so instead of saying they're mutants, you're saying they're like the next step of evolution or something. I don't even.
Yeah, well, so Inhumans are like genetically predisposed to have abilities, and then they use something called I think it's called the Terrigen Mist, and once they breathe these in, allows them access to their mutation. So um, you have Quicksilver, who is tied to both X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers. He lost his powers in a storyline that preceded Civil War in the comic books called
House of
um,
M.
House of M. So how he gained his powers back was he breathed into Terrigen Mist, and his powers came back, although it was slightly different. Regardless, it did come back. So he technically isn't. He's still a mutant, but he's a mutant via the mists. Uh, so once
Mhm.
again, Marvel has kind of outsmarted the other players in the game by kind of circumvented their rights. So Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch easily could be just their miracle is the fact that they had access to the mists. Um, Hydra could have been just testing it out and saw that the mist has caused these miracles to happen, and therefore that's their mutant population right there.
Yeah, and that's another interesting point is Hydra with the new TV show Shield. The push of Hydra into
Agents of Shield.
Agents of Shield. Sorry,
Sorry.
but the push of Hydra into all levels of the Marvel comic universe is pretty interesting, actually. Um, in that new cartoon, Avengers Assemble, or at least it's on Netflix now. You see they have a push with they bring back Red Skull, and they even give him he's using a modified version of Tony Stark's, like the Iron Man suit. He basically steals the Iron Man suit and his arc reactor, and all of a sudden combines that and creates a new body, a new exoskeleton for himself, and he calls himself the Iron Skull now, I think.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Paints Tony's suit black and puts like a skull emblem over top of the arc reactor.
Well, update on that. So Iron Skull kind of got defeated, and I'm totally spoiling for people, but read comic books, man. They're fun. Is the Red Skull actually Charles Xavier got killed? Funny enough. So the Iron Skull actually took his brain and transferred his brain into his own. So now the Red Skull has the abilities of Charles Xavier, and that
which is supposed to be the world's greatest telepath in the world, right?
Yes, and the result has led to a current comic book storyline called Axis, which has the Avengers and the X-Men teaming up to fight the Red Onslaught.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Red Onslaught?
Yes, it's actually ongoing right now. It's hit or miss, but you do get wonderful gems such as Deadpool working with Tony Stark. So thumbs up for me.
That's
that
so
respect.
crazy.
There's a whole panel of scenes where you see Iron Man is powerless and Deadpool is dragging him off the field of battle, just talking to him and trying to convince him to become an Avenger. So, if you have the chance, though, I would suggest that you pick them up and kind of watch it. I think it's a little bit of a worthwhile storyline. It's kind of different from other ones. So, when people are getting into books, I don't like. There's varying knowledge for people who are in or are coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's still a lot of benefit from reading the actual books these storylines are based from. All right, because they've adapted these storylines to fit their movie universe. But Civil War, House of M, these storylines that happen in the comic books still have a lot of meat that you should check out and read. Even what's called again the Winter Soldier storyline that you saw in Captain America. Not really a true adaptation of the comic books, but still a worthwhile read.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, and they've also, and some different media sites such as IGN, or even Kotaku, they've actually stated that there is like ways that you could probably catch up to actually what's going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe by going back to some of their old archives. Like they had a really good one on Captain Marvel and Black Panther last week, which lists like a whole bunch of story arcs for which you can see the quote-unquote badassery of both characters, or even different other storylines on top of that.
I'd be curious to see what they do with the Captain Marvel. I think they have a movie slated for that too. Do they not?
Yep.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see where they go with that as well.
No lead has actually been casted as of yet. In the two other new movies introducing characters, besides Inhumans, you have Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch is... sorry, I always do that whenever I say his name. Benedict Cumberbatch! He's going to play the title role. And then you have Chadwick Boseman, I believe is his name, who's going to be...
I'm going to have to actually Google that because I don't even know Chadwick Boseman at all.
He was in 42, the Jackie Robinson story that actually surprised a lot of people with its box office success last year. And he was also in another movie, and I totally forgot. I feel so bad, but not so bad that I will be crying about it. Let's see.
He's on Get On Up, 42, The Express.
Yes.
The Kill Hole. Really? The Kill Hole?
The Kill Hole.
Persons Unknown.
He's been on other
Uh,
shows like Persons Unknown is one. He was in The Glades as well for a couple episodes. He was in Justified for an episode. Detroit 187, Fringe. He was in ER. So he's been at it for a while.
Yeah,
He was
for
he was
sure.
in Draft Day. Draft Day with was that Kevin Costner? Draft Day.
yeah.
Interesting.
Just want to say Draft Day more times. Draft Day.
Well, I'm really happy for you there.
Thanks. Draft Day.
Oh
But yeah,
dear.
it's once again where Marvel has decided to go with the atypical choice. Didn't choose folks that were kind of looked at like what's called it, Michael Jai White, or
Yeah.
people were talking for The Rock to be Black Panther, which is a
I kind of
terrible
would have
choice in my
liked Michael
opinion.
J. White. I
Oh,
gotta be honest, because Michael J. White's like this whole other level
yeah.
badassness, uh, and
Mhm.
I kind of wish like Michael J. White and John Woo would make another movie and put that on like in the theaters for me to watch in the next like year or two, because I love John Woo movies and I love
Michael J.
Michael J. White, and I would really like to see them
Yeah.
work together and see some like badassness happens. Because honestly, like in the last while, I can't remember the last time I saw something where I was just like, that is just like such a badass dude. You know, I mean, even like Shadow Recruit with Chris Pine in it, or was it Shadow Recruit? The latest
Jack
Jack
Ryan,
Ryan
Shadow
movie.
Recruit. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
correct.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, Chris Pine was good, but I didn't like. He just doesn't come off as a badass. He comes off as a guy he's like a MacGyver. MacGyver's not a badass. He's just quick on his feet, you know, like, and he's got a Swiss
Yeah.
Army knife that can do like anything, you know. But I need a badass character. Like I need somebody I can get behind. I mean, I think the last one I can think of is Born Ultimatum.
Yeah.
Like what is this? What's that guy's name? Something Remmer or
Jack.
Jeremy
Jer-
Remmer. Remember?
okay.
He
Yeah.
does a good job. I mean, I loved.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, thank you. I'm having brain farts all over the place here. But I love Matt Damon, and I thought Renner did a great job, and I like that. But it's just I feel like there's this like gaping hole. Like I'm sorry, but Liam Neeson does not do it for me.
You're not going to be taken again by Taken 3?
Or Taken 4, or Taken, you know, the trip to the McDonald's drive-through.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
like I mean,
it's like, I'm going to tell you something. This food is going to be taken out.
it's like if I don't get 6 chicken McNuggets in my Happy Meal, I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I like Liam Neeson. I just honestly like he's not the kind of badass I want to see on TV right now.
He's badass grandpa.
He's yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
Lord.
regardless, Michael Jai White, I don't know. I think I don't know if they've announced who's going to be playing Luke Cage. Has that been announced?
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything. Kev?
That means straight to Google.
Wasn't it Dwayne Johnson?
Tony who?
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. You know The
No, I
Rock.
thought it was The Rock who was playing him.
No, The Rock is
But-
playing Black Adam in Shazam. Shazam!
No, but that's DC.
Yeah.
Marvel's different.
I don't think if an actor acts in the DC universe, he can't act in the Marvel universe. Or do you think they have that like, well, you've acted in a DC movie. I'm sorry, but you can't act in a Marvel movie now. You're tainted. You're forever tainted.
You're dead to me.
You're dead to me.
Dead.
Damn you, Michael Keaton. Still my favorite Batman.
Oh,
I like Christian Bale. Don't get me wrong, but Michael Keaton always the best.
To my
that's
knowledge,
all about him.
I'm looking it up. I'm seeing a bunch of stupid stuff like,
Yeah.
was it Dule Hill from Psych being cast as Luke Cage, which would be funny. But Luke Cage isn't particularly funny, and Dule Hill doesn't come across as being a badass. Plus, Dule Hill will probably have to double his body weight in muscle and be on stilts to be considered Luke Cage.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, in terms of people, like Terry Crews is the perfect Luke Cage in my opinion. He's funny,
I love Terry.
quick-witted, and he
You
legitimately
would.
looks like he can rip someone in half.
Yeah. And
uh,
that whole funny thing, you're right. I mean, yeah, look at some of his lines on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He's
yeah,
hilarious.
I knew
It's
making
great.
reference to that, you would get some enjoyment from it. Kevin's a big Brooklyn 999 fan. 99 Brooklyn 99.
Rosa, Rosa, Rosa. Hey,
Oh yes, you heard
So
it here now, live, folks.
yes, Kevin
Kelly.
Costner.
sometimes
Another person that I would have chosen for Black Panther is Chiwetel Ejiofor, or Ejiofor.
What
I'm
about what
confused.
about Idris Elba though? I thought he would have been a badass Black Panther.
nah, he's
Uh,
too old.
he's too old.
But he could. But
He
there
played.
could be a possibility where he can actually play the dad, maybe. But then
Yeah.
again, you'd have
Who-
to come to the realization that he's actually been in a Marvel movie already.
Yeah.
It would kind of be weird
Oh
seeing him. It's
yeah,
not.
that's right. That's right. Thor. That's right.
Yeah, it's not like Power Rangers where you can call on one of the old Power Rangers to be an extra in a new Power Rangers series.
Except that Captain America was
Yeah.
Johnny Flash. No, what's his last
John,
name?
Human Torch
Yeah, he
in,
was the Human Torch,
in
right?
the old Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but which we shouldn't mention because that was a horrible movie. I mean, horrible movie.
They were
Anyways,
both, especially the endings. Like, come on.
yeah, the writing and I just it could have been done. There was too much camp in that. You know what I mean? It was way too campy,
Yeah.
and I think it should have been darker, personally. But
Mm,
I heard they're going to do a reboot of Fantastic Four, so hopefully they'll get it right this
yeah,
time.
they will.
And we've
Uh,
lost we've lost Jamil, which is awkward. Um,
yeah, but to that point though, I guess they're scrapping. Like when it comes to rules as to who stars in what, they're scrapping that. It's not. Oh yeah, because you starred in a Fox movie. So the Fox Marvel movie, you can't star in a Disney Marvel movie.
that's true. I kind of wish that they would combine that Marvel would get the rights back to all their characters.
Hmm.
Because this I don't not even Diaspora. This like spread like Fox has these characters, Disney has these characters, Marvel has these characters. I friggin' hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Hmm. For
Honestly,
sure.
like no, this should not happen. It
Yeah.
should be you should just license the story and not the friggin' characters because that when you license the characters, that annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
I don't like this model at all, and I really feel like the fans are the ones that get hurt in the end. Like
Oh.
we're the ones who are losing out.
Yeah.
You know, you heard it here first, folks. I don't like the current model that they're using.
This makes
Anyways, like
sense.
why does Sony have the rights to Spider-Man? Really? Like Sony, come on. Sony, if you're watching this, please give the rights back to Marvel. Let's have Spider-Man in the Captain America movie. Let's have Civil War done right.
Exactly.
You know?
I agree. Yeah, and besides, he belongs on the Avengers
Yeah,
in some way, shape, or form.
So, question: would you have the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man or the what's the new guy's name again?
Andrew, Andrew
Andrew
Garfield, I think. Or,
Andrew Garfield or the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man?
mm, definitely the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would have to say the same.
it's a charm in it. He's a totally different guy. It's not Tom Maguire. You kind of feel a little bit more story for.
I think Tobey Maguire was like
Also, I was kind of hoping that it would have been Topher Grace who would be Spider-Man back there instead.
Topher Grace could have done a good job. I think, actually, personally speaking,
Oh yeah.
I don't mind Andrew Garfield. I did like Emma Stone as Gwen.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good casting job. But in the new in the Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man universe, who would you have as Mary Jane Watson? Who would you cast as Mary Jane Watson?
I would cast a new writer for Mary Jane Watson, because I absolutely hate the new series, and I think at this point they should just completely ignore it whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, it's
You preferred the
Topher Grace.
Tobey
Yes.
Maguire. Tobey
Tobey Maguire,
Maguire.
yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because you watched Spider-Man 3, right?
I did watch Spider-Man 3, and Spider-Man 3 isn't as bad as people make it out to be.
Are you on crack? Yeah, I mean,
Let me tell you this.
are you pulling a mirror forward here? Like, what's going on? You know?
The most important things to Spider-Man is responsibility and a secret identity. In part 1, he reveals his secret identity. In part 2, he, without any need, he constantly reveals his secret identity, to the point where he solves all of his issues with his secret identity being revealed. He stops the train, and his mask comes off, and then the people, you have the Jesus moment scene where he's captured, where he's like carried by the crew after he saves them, and then they give him back his mask, and then people go and see his face, and they're like, "Oh, we won't tell," which is complete BS. So that scene really.
Because you know that shit would be on TMZ like in 20 seconds.
Yes. Then you have how does he solve his issue with Mary Jane, because she's like, Peter's never there for me. He just keeps disappearing all the time. I'm mad at Peter. How does he solve his issue with Mary Jane? Reveals his secret identity. She's like, oh my gosh, I understand now. I love you. And then how does he solve the issue with Doc Ock, who's kicking his butt through that movie? Peter? Oh my gosh, I'm insane. I need to stop what I'm doing. And then sacrifices himself. He doesn't actually beat anyone in that movie at all.
Hey,
right? He's just there.
that's almost the same. Sandman cries and he walks off.
Hey, you know what? Spider-Man 3 makes sense because it is a combination of what has happened in the first two movies. Those movies are all about
like the scene of him where he's possessed by Venom and he goes into
emo mode.
He goes into like emo mode and stuff like that. Unnecessary.
Why are people so hung up on that?
Oh my! But it tainted the whole movie.
Oh,
if you cut that out, like honestly, like just it was too campy and too like ridiculous, and
you forget looking at raindrops are falling in my head sequence in Spider-Man 2 where he's going down the street and they have the freeze frame of him just smiling like a goof, right? And we're totally gonna ignore that and say him having a scene where he's generally acting what was considered cool by a certain segment of people. What did you want them to do in terms of signifying that it was cool now? The movies are campy. All the Raimi movies are campy. You had, lest we forget, in the first Spider-Man movie, you had Aunt May praying at her bedside in the hospital, right? And then Green Goblin breaks the window and he's like, "Finish the prayer! Finish the prayer!" And she's like, "Deliver us from evil!" It's like, come on, those movies are campy. They've always been, right? So all of a sudden people just make a stand because they have Spider-Man kind of act like what they hate, but you're not supposed to like that, Peter. You're not, right? And then they get pissed off because Venom was shown being a terrible character. Newsflash, folks, Venom is a terrible character. He's always been. When you were a kid, you thought he was cool because he was like dark Spider-Man and he's big and he's muscular and he has a tongue. It's like he's been a terrible character since his inception. You know, some people have done a little bit of good work with him, but in general, he's a terrible character. Terrible character in comparison to stuff like Kraven, stuff like the Vulture, stuff like Green Goblin, the Green Goblins, like Harry and also Norman, who still haven't got their just due in Spider-Man. Even the friggin' Looter is a better character than Venom. I hate Venom. I hate symbiotes. I hate Carnage. I hate Toxin. I hate all of them. Separation anxiety. The Maximum Carnage video game is terrible in comparison to the Life and Death of Superman. I'd rather play that movie. I hate it. So Sony is the one to blame, not Sam Raimi, for Spider-Man 3's issues, because they had to get their stinking hands on that movie and get involved, even though Raimi said from even Spider-Man 1 that he had no interest in doing a Venom movie or anything with Venom. So for people to go and turn around and blame Sam Raimi, blame Topher Grace for the issues of Spider-Man 3, a movie that's supposed to be about fathers and sons, doing the conclusion of Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn's storyline, and also you have Sandman, who's trying to be a good father for his daughter and having the conflict with trying to provide for her and being a good person, and you throw Venom in for no good reason just for marketing purposes. I'm sorry, Sony's to blame, not Sam Raimi, not Tobey Maguire. So that is the end of my rant. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, let's all right. I won't disagree with you on some of those points, and I do think I do think that Sony is to blame. But I personally, as I had ranted earlier to Kevin, that I feel like all these different studios need to give the rights back to Marvel, and then let Marvel deal with it, because I really dislike the fact that that Marvel even has to find a workaround so that they can have all their characters in any given movie. I don't like this. I don't like the current business model as it is, and I just find it disappointing, to say the least. Although I don't know the history behind that. I don't know the history behind this licensing business model, but
the whole reason was back in the mid '90s, due to the comic book crash. Thank you, Death of Superman. Marvel was in dire straits and needed to really find some cash wherever it can, and the way they did that was kind of selling off their properties to get that money, to get them out of the red, and that's why they sold their rights to Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man was already, the rights were all over the place, but that's why they sold the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four and a lot of these other properties, because they were left in a situation where they needed money fast. Otherwise, there would be no Marvel Comics right now.
Fair enough. I wonder what
evil.
I wonder what the value. Like for the IP on that kind of stuff is like, if it's in the billions or the trillions. I'd be curious.
Well, at that point, like outside of Batman and Superman, there wasn't really a case where you saw it consistently make money, because you had properties like Howard the Duck that bombed. Captain America, they attempted to with the TV show, and that didn't work out well. Like Roger Corman, to keep the rights of Fantastic Four, made a movie and never released it because it was horrible, but the rights, the thought, the concept of the possibility of the rights were the valuable asset, not necessarily the results of having those rights.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, Idris Elba and Mr. Loki are going to be appearing in Age of Ultron. Just something random. Just saw the news from comingsoon.net.
Interesting.
Interestingly, indeed.
I'm very excited about Age of Ultron. So we'll see where they take it.
Okay.
I'm hoping they do a good job.
As am I. As am I. Having seen a couple clips from the movie, it seems like they're really taking it as their. I don't want to say Empire Strikes Back because that's so cliche to say the second movie in an entry or like the middle movie in an entry is their the villains win, but Ultron as a character is one that um, can do a lot of damage to the Avengers. And I guess, later on we could do a breakdown of what we think will happen in Age of Ultron. Um, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good movie. Joss Whedon has yet to make a theatrical film that sucks. Heh. Watch
This is true.
Serenity. Watch Serenity, folks. And
Amazing.
yeah.
So good.
I have not seen it yet. Zero
You
chance.
haven't seen Serenity?
I finished
Honestly,
Firefly, but
are
I've
you
not seen.
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
How have you not seen Serenity yet? What is the matter with you?
I have no idea.
No, there is something the matter with you if you haven't seen Serenity yet. Seriously, it's on Netflix. Watch it today.
Actually, it's going to be coming off Netflix shortly. That was news.
Really?
Yeah. Faux show.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about Netflix is I kind of wish once they got the rights to a TV show or movie that it was just forever in their catalog of
Well,
things streamed.
unfortunately, those studios were a lot smarter than Marvel and put time limits on the length of time that people have access to those products.
Wow.
Yes, because the next thing you know, we'll see a big push for Serenity on DVD or Blu-ray even, and then it'll be out of Netflix, and everybody will have to get it there.
Well,
All right. Well, I think that we should probably wrap it up, boys. If you tuned in, although I see we have, if you tuned in to watch this podcast or videocast or vodcast, I'm like vodcast. Is that the right word? Thank you very much. If you come to Connected & Co., the website is www.connectedand.co. You will soon see my review of these bad boys, the Soul Republic Jax i2 sound engine headphones, along with many other reviews and entertainment articles and podcasts and the like. So come check out the website, like it, subscribe it, email list it, whatever you need to do. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell everyone.
Tell your kids, tell your wives.
Yes. You tell your children that are yet to be born, you know, come watch us, listen to us, read what we have to say.
Yes.
We're lovely people. So yeah, you guys want to tell people you're...
I'm Jamil. You can catch me at the Puffy Taco on Twitter, on Instagram, and almost every single other type of. I've done a good job, kind of securing the brand. Outside of that mascot, the Puffy Taco, I'm trying to get him under my umbrella. But yeah, anytime you want to play on Xbox 360, and PS4, the Puffy Taco, tweet, Facebook, you got it.
Okay, Kevin, it's your turn.
Really, K doubles, $1 on Xbox Live. If you got something to say on that, if you want to try to take me on either Alpha, which is, I don't know, what's going on with that, guys? It's supposed to be better. No one's showing off. Anyway, screw that. Feel pretty lonely on there. I mean, I don't want to be like a monster by myself fighting, but come on, guys. 4-on-1. It's really exciting. I just didn't play it yet. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I speak to video games way better, but yeah, you can catch me on the site when it gets released on the full K doubles thing down there. So Yeah, up on Twitter. But hey, talk to you guys soon.
All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. I'm
Who are
Raj.
you?
Oh, I'm Rajesh K.
Yeah.
You can you can you can find me at Cuddy Stark, pretty much everywhere. On Instagram, it's underscore Cuddy Stark underscore because somebody happened to take my username. You bastard. Or actually, I think it's a girl, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Uh, they might not be a bastard though. Who knows?
Hey,
Anyways,
girls can be bastards too, I think.
okay. Well, we don't know though for sure. The jury's still out. But regardless, you can find me everywhere. Cuddy Sark, Facebook, whatever you want. I'm on that new social media site, tsu.co. You can find me there at Cuddy Sark. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And I guess we'll hope to see you the next time we do this, which should be on a regular basis because we want to be consistent. Um, yeah, so we're going to aim for being consistent. I don't know if it'll be weekly or bi-weekly, but we'll see how that goes. And you'll get to meet our other members as this show goes forward. But yeah, enjoy Connecting Co Entertainment. And I guess I'll see you all later.